profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the National President of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees. He brought us up to speed on how workers have been surviving with the current economy situation we find ourselves with, the issue of insecurity, also announced states that have favored local government autonomy while hoping that the 36 states would follow suit. It's good to have you on the program.
A pleasure having the most awarded investigative journalist of TVC.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Local government workers have been doing a lot towards ensuring that we still have more states that will pass into law the autonomy of local government generally. I know that it's not only just local government that is actually fighting for autonomy. I know the judiciary workers are also working towards that. But I mean, I'm with the president of the local government workers, so we rather face that right now as we speak. So far, what's been the struggle like?
Well, thank you, my moderator. We thank God Almighty, and let's start by commending the courageous National Assembly and the presidency. You know, the issue started with the president, who passed executive order to ensure that there is transparency, accountability, and made an attempt to deepen democracy at the local government level as that subnational government in Nigeria. Though the Supreme Court gave a verdict and says that that can be achieved through constitutional alteration. As of today, the National Assembly has done the needful out of the 44 bills transmitted to states. Number 1, number 2, number 3, up to around number 12 affect local government specifically. And the most fundamental reform that is expected in local government to make it more functional, more people driven, more people oriented, and act to enable it to act as service center is the financial autonomy bill. And this financial autonomy will have ushered in a progressive era into local government, whereby funds appropriated, allocated for local government should be received at the local government through the local government account, not through proxy, not through joint account allocation committee that has acted as conduit pipe through which fund meant for development and programs of local government has been siphoned, misapplied, misappropriated, fraudulently diverted by state government. So, as of today, that is the most fundamental reform in the constitutional alteration. The second one is administrative autonomy that aim to establish the tenure security of political functionaries in the local government. What we have witnessed in the past is that there has been a continuous attempt to subdue growth and development in local government, to also make sure that all political leadership in the local government is put under the jackboot of state government. Once there's tenure insecurity and the power at the state level to remove with impunity local government political leadership, then local government is at the mercy, the political leadership are at the mercy of state government. So that alteration aimed at ensuring a proper presidential system of government in Nigerian context in Nigeria. And if that has been allowed to sail through, Nigeria would have been better off than it. As of today, 12 states actually attempted to do what is needful. I mean, positively. In the southeast, we have Abia, we have Anambra that has given concurrence, and Enugu making 3. In the south, we have Delta, Akwa Ibom, we have Edo. In the southwest, we have Osun and Ogun State. In the north central, we have Kogi, and today we have Nasarawa. We also have the state of the Mr. President, Katsina, that have done the needful. Regrettably, 4 states voted against the people's wish and people's aspiration. Number 1 is Lagos State. And that of Lagos State can be situated within the context of having fear about continuity of LCDA local government development authority. But that can also be addressed during the constitutional alteration. There should be a standard for creation of local government and dissolution of local government. So Lagos State has no need to fear that local government should not be autonomous. We were shocked because one of the former administrators of Lagos State actually fought in defense of local government system. But we were shocked that the present leadership of the House of Assembly of Lagos State betrayed the confidence reposed in them in voting against local government autonomy. Also again, Benue State, and that of Benue State can be situated within the context of if you rub my back, I rub your back. The Speaker of Benue State House of Assembly is one of those major agitators that believe and advocate of local government autonomy. But immediately was given the gubernatorial slot. He changed gear. He made a 360-degree turnaround. And he voted against local government autonomy. The same thing in Adamawa, and you'll be surprised. Adamawa is a state that we are looking forward that they are having one of their illustrious front attempting to govern Nigeria. See what they have done. Ekiti, you know, one of the strong opposition to local government autonomy was the forever gone governor of Ekiti State, Governor Kayode Fayemi, who now belongs to history. Well, he was there and he mobilized, he canvassed and ensured that local government autonomy does not sail through in Ekiti State. The reason is obvious. As of today, Ekiti State is owing over 7 months' salary of local government staff that have not been paid. You can see the deteriorating condition of roads, infrastructure in Ekiti State. You can see the level of insecurity in Ekiti State. And you know that we have said this severally. Those who benefit from a corrupt system loathe change. And that is why we believe that the new governor that has been elected in Ekiti State will see reasons to follow the people. What Governor Kayode Fayemi has done, using the forum of governors, is anti-democratic, it is anti-people, and it's born out of shared wickedry. So for us, all in all, we are having 4 states that have voted against it. And the funny thing is Kaduna. Kaduna State governor under our so-called progressive governor, Governor El-Rufai, voted for administrative autonomy and opposed financial autonomy. You can see that what is the rationale behind it. The only interest why some of these state governments are working against autonomy is for financial benefit and financial gain. They want to continue to reap local government. They want to continue to siphon local government fund. They want to continue on pushing Nigeria to the verge of collapse. As of today, absence of local government autonomy has accounted largely for insecurity.
Yeah, so that brings me to my next question. We know the value of workers in the local government. We know the role of local governments generally when it comes to the administration of governance. Looking at where we find ourselves here today, what more do you think needs to be done in terms of ensuring that the government is brought closer to the people? Because I feel that's the work of the local government. So what do you think needs to be done? And what are we paying? How are we paying for not ensuring that the government is closer to the people at the moment?
Well, for example, it is obvious. The mass insecurity bedevils Nigeria can be attributed to lack of local government system, functional local government system in Nigeria. Most of the ungoverned spaces, the forest, are now occupied by bandits, criminals, and terrorists because of lack of growth and development at local government level. There is rural-urban migration, whereby people are living in droves to the city centers. And based on that, local government hamlets and communities have been abandoned. They are now deserted. And it now become an heaven for these bandits, maraudas, to come in and occupy this space. And naturally, nature above vacuum. That's why they are there. And they are perpetrating atrocities and what have you. And that is why NULGE continue to clamor that what we need is not state police. What we need is municipal and local government police that will function effectively at the community level. The city centers are already over-policed. Is it these governors that are owing salary, like one governor is owing 16 months unpaid worker salary? You want to recruit state police and arm them while you are unable to pay salary? Are you not recruiting another terrorist or bandit? So for us, what we need is community police. Community needs to be sensitized. Local government needs to recruit some of these local guards, local hunters, train them, remunerate them, and keep them properly. Unless you want to continue the surge and movement towards the state and city center, for them to be recruited as idle hand for crimes and what have you. As of today, Nigerian rural communities are not safe. Farmers cannot go to farm. Women doesn't have enough purchasing power because there's no job at the local government level, there's no fund at the local government level. Everything stands still at the local government level. In the past,
when there's job, the state government really do not pay them, or they underpay them.
The state government is too distant to the people. The closest tier of government is the local government, is your neighborhood government. That is what local government is all about. You know them, I know you, you know me, I'm your councillor, I represent you, I live in the community. And I go about freely, I don't have retinue of security guiding me. If I misbehave or if I carry out any infraction, you march to my house. You demand that we should have to redress it. Unlike in the state, how many of you can go to the governor's office and demand you want to see the governor? Even before you leave your community to the government house, you will have been frustrated because of the barrage of security along the line, the retinue of security. So for us, if we must make Nigerian work, local government should be functional. Women in the past in the local government are allowed to be trained. That's what we call vocational skill acquisition for them and empowerment. We grant soft loan to them at the local government level. So at that level, you see level of economic growth at that level. There is increase in purchasing power. All that are gone. As of today, over 65% of roads network in Nigeria fall within the local government, the rural communities. In fact, all the roads fall within the local government, whether trunk A, trunk B, trunk C. But the over 65% fall within the rural community setting. And most of them are not accessible because local government fund has been diverted. Even the IGRment for local government has been cornered by state government in terms of revenue. When you talk about revenue from motor parks and garages, it has been hijacked by the state government. They now create park and garages board, which is illegal. It's contrary or violates the constitution, even the 1999 constitution. Talk of signages, advertisement and what belong to local government. Why do they have signage board? Even the tenement rates collected by local government, they use the instrumentality of law using the State House Assembly to promulgate obnoxious law that they say they are using land, they are raising land charges. It's not the business of the state, for God's sake. That is why, as of today, local government has been crippled. Local government has been bastardized. Local government has been raped. We have competent professionals at the local government level without tools, without equipment to perform.
If we want to look at the condition we find ourselves in the country in terms of inflation, the naira is fluctuating and not stable. Generally, how have your members been reacting to this?
Well, unfortunately, we have lost focus in Nigeria. The best way to grow our GDP is through agriculture, not even through oil. There are so many continents of the world that they rely solely on agriculture as export producing revenue. As of today, Nigerians can no longer farm. In so many states in the federation, it is the women that go to farm. That is why the impact is so much. Once the women have been impoverished, it rubs off on the family completely. So our members are exposed to vulnerability because they work in the local government. For example, in Boko Haram ravaged areas, so many of our members died. They were killed. Some have been turned to widow and widowers. In areas like Northwest, recently in Nasarawa, in Kaduna State, in Zaria, for example, 12 of our members were kidnapped. And unfortunately, the governor says he will not pay ransom. Should we allow them to die? That is why UNO has to rise up to the occasion to get them out. In Zamfara, the president of NULGE, there was an attempt to kidnap him. He escaped miraculously. The pregnant wife was kidnapped. The woman delivered in captivity. And we paid through our nose to get the woman and the child back safely home. So because we are residents of these rural communities, we can't go to the city center easily. So we are exposed to attack, bandits, attack, and terrorists. Number two, because the rural community is not developed, the road accessibility is so poor, some of us go on motorbike, some of us have to trek to our stations and to deliver services under harrowing experience. Number three, because social amenities are no longer available at the rural community settings, we work under inconducive working environment. Number four, the psychological torture as a result of inability of local government to deliver dividends of democracy affect our members' psyche so much. The job of a public servant is to make sure he delivers social services to the people. But when you see people suffering and you can't deliver, you are pained.
So what do you think needs to be done in terms of addressing the wage? I won't say the living wage, the national minimum wage at this point in time. I know it should be due in a year or two.
It's not about wage. Number one, we should grant absolute autonomy to local government, so that local government should be a service center, a development center, to provide services to the people. That's number one. We should grant local government autonomy to local government to enable them provide security at the rural community setting, having municipal and local government police at the community level. We should also ensure that we build the capacity of local government political leadership to ensure that competent political leaders emerge at the local government level. We should also attempt to abolish certificate of indigenization and indigenship. That has been the bane militating against development in Nigeria. Because as of today, the patriotic spirit is no longer in Nigeria. You either remember yourself to be a Yoruba man, Hausa man, or Igbo man first. We must abolish it and believe that we are all Nigerian. An Igbo man should be able to be governor of Sokoto State. A Yoruba man should be a governor of Anambra. An Igbo man should be a governor of Oyo State. As of today, the electoral system in local government needs to be reviewed. We continue to clamor that if we must get it right, we should allow INEC to conduct local government election. What we are witnessing present in local government is a charade. It is coronation, appointment, and promotion, not election. There has never been an election in any local government in Nigeria. It is winner takes all. It's only in Abuja, Federal Capital Territory, that we have local government, municipal democracy in place. Finally, there must be a deliberate attempt to increase the purchasing power of Nigerians, not only the workers alone. And you can do that in generating more electricity. Once we have steady supply of electricity, not get clamor that they should return electricity management generation back to government. The private sector that took over has messed up the system. There has been no improvement in it. They have not justified with the so-called privatization. It was not privatization, it was commercialization. We should return it back to government. Let government monitor it and regenerate electricity. We also applaud the decentralization of generation of electricity by the National Assembly through the alteration. We must also look at how to make sure we construct modular refineries. They should grant license to so many states and so many individuals that can produce modular refinery to refine petroleum products. If we are the only oil-producing nation that does not refine their crude oil, export it and buy it at exorbitant prices. If we must shore up the purchasing power of Nigeria, this must be addressed. Finally, the slave wage being paid to Nigerian workers is an absurdity. It's uncalled for. It is time to review it. It's not about presidency announcing that they want to increase wages. It must be reviewed with labor. There must be a collective bargaining to make sure the living wage really commensurate with the economic realities of the day.
Thank you very much for your time. And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.